NASA's James Webb Space Telescope, or JWST, is set to be the largest space telescope ever launched. This telescope might as well usher in a new space age, with some incredible new discoveries that would never have been possible before. Let's take a look at this project, how much it cost, and some of the discoveries it's going to make. The JWST project. The JWST project was conceptualized as a successor for the Hubble telescope, which is responsible for some of the most amazing space discoveries we've ever made. NASA had already started working on it in 1988, and by 1996, the JWST project was officially announced. However, for the following decade after that, the project would be in limbo. NASA couldn't really decide what kind of telescope they wanted it to be. Should it be an expensive successor to the Hubble telescope, or should it be a cost-effective version? There would also be questions raised on the necessity of the project. Eventually though, by 2007, this project was officially under construction. Around $4.5 billion were allocated for it, of which $3.5 billion would be allocated to design and R&D alone. In 2010, the project passed the Mission Critical Design Review, which meant that there were no engineering or design flaws in the project. All the project needed now was extra funds, more testing, and it would have been ready to launch in 2015. However, funding issues arose and the tests ended up being more time-consuming than expected. The telescope wasn't even attached to the ship itself until 2019, despite it being something that should have been completed 12 years prior to that. After all that, the amount of money spent on this project ballooned to $9.66 billion, which is over twice the amount that was initially allocated for it. With all that said, the construction finally finished in 2021. The constant delays. With construction coming to an end in 2021, it was still a mystery for most of the year exactly when the gigantic telescope would be launched into space. The European Space Agency and the Canadian Space Agency will also be a part of this project and its launch. On November 22, 2021, the ESA announced that the launch would be no sooner than December 22, 2021, as they still had to run a whole bunch of tests on the telescope before it was ready. The ESA is the organisation that will actually be responsible for the launch, and the location of the launch will be the ESA spaceport in Curacao, French Guiana, a small region of France that actually borders Brazil. While these delays may be annoying, considering it was initially set to be launched in 2015, there's a very good reason for the delay. First, all the space agencies involved need perfect coordination for the project's success. With the COVID-19 pandemic, doing that became increasingly difficult. This telescope could have been completed and launched much earlier had it not been for the pandemic. Secondly, all of these tests are integral to the mission's success. This telescope is set to be one of the biggest leaps in space discovery in decades, and no stakeholder wants to mess this up. If we wait for the project now, it means we won't have to see it fail in the future. The discoveries it will make. Before we get on to the kind of discoveries the Webb telescope will make, let's take a look at what the Hubble telescope was able to do for us. Discoveries made through the Hubble telescope helped us understand the estimated age of the universe. It discovered that the universe is constantly expanding, and it was also used to confirm the existence of a black hole, although it didn't actually take a picture of a black hole. It also captured the first ever image of a supernova as it happened. It was able to determine the exact size of the Milky Way, and overall it has managed to help release over 15,000 vital research papers that are constantly being studied in space agencies and universities around the world. In short, the Hubble telescope may have been the most important object in the world when it came to space exploration, and its successor, the Webb telescope, is estimated to be at least 100 times as powerful. Simply put, the Webb telescope will be a major breakthrough in almost every way. It'll completely change the way we see the universe. One of the biggest discoveries that NASA expects the Webb telescope to make is detailed information on how early galaxies were formed. According to NASA, the Webb telescope will directly observe a part of space and time that has never been seen. It will be able to do this by capturing the ultraviolet and visible lights from the early stars that have been stretched by the universe's expansion over time. it will be able to see light that was emitted over 13.5 billion years ago. It will also be used to make incredible discoveries about the winds in our solar system. The Webb telescope may be able to track down these winds, their origins, and what kind of effects these winds can have on our solar system. These winds can help us understand how planets and galaxies are formed. Webb will also be able to see and capture exoplanets, aka planets that are located outside the solar system. Webb is capable of detecting infrared wavelengths, which can allow it to detect chemicals like water and methane in the atmosphere of these exoplanets. Long story short, water and methane are essential to life on Earth, and if Webb is able to detect these chemicals on exoplanets, it would be a breakthrough in finding out whether there are habitable planets outside our solar system or not. We were only able to confirm the existence of exoplanets in 1992, which was much after the Hubble telescope was launched. This is the first time a telescope of this scale was launched with the purpose of gathering more information about exoplanets. While looking for exoplanets may not be the primary purpose of the Webb telescope, it's certainly going to play a big role in the mission overall. Now let's talk about black holes. The first image of a black hole was taken through the Event Horizon telescope, which isn't really one giant telescope but rather an array of telescopes located across the world. The Webb telescope would be much more capable of taking images of black holes than the Event Horizon, which means we may be able to discover brand new things about black holes that we never knew before. NASA even announced that the Webb telescope will be joining forces with the Event Horizon telescope, giving us unprecedented information about this crazy phenomenon. But at the end of the day, the most incredible discoveries of the Webb telescope will be the ones we least expect. This telescope is going to be capturing images every single day of things it doesn't even know exists. All the strange light sources, all the weird winds, all the asteroids and meteoroids, there's nothing the telescope can miss. The planned mission duration for the Webb telescope is around 10 years. However, as we've seen with the Hubble telescope and pretty much all NASA missions that happened before this, it'll likely be useful for much longer than the official mission duration. The Hubble telescope has been in space for over 31 years at this point, and it still makes incredible discoveries every now and then. This is mainly due to the almost constant service upgrades that NASA regularly makes on the Hubble telescope by actually sending out astronauts to manually repair and upgrade certain aspects. Countdown to the launch. NASA has officially launched a countdown to the exact day the Webb telescope is set to be launched, December 22nd, 2021. As we mentioned before, this still isn't the confirmed launch date, and delays can still happen no matter how little time remains. However, we are now extremely close to the telescope being launched, and at this point, a delay seems highly unlikely whether something goes dangerously wrong with it. The Webb telescope arrived at the launch site in French Guiana on October 12, 2021. From there, NASA, the ESA and the CSA conducted numerous tests to see if the telescope was launch ready. The telescope was assembled in California, from where it took off on a 5,500-mile journey on the Pacific, crossing the Panama Canal into the Atlantic, and then finally reaching its destination of Port de Paracabo in French Guiana. Its sea journey took over 16 days, and the drive from the port to the launch site is rather short, but it had to pass through the thick Amazon rainforest on some rather weak roads. Overall, this is perhaps one of the most pivotal moments in the history of space exploration. As we've mentioned, this telescope is going to be far more advanced than any other telescope before it, and it might just uncover some of the universe's best kept secrets. For now, we can only hope that the launch is successful, and we're treated with some incredible space discoveries that we never would have even thought of before. That's a wrap for the James Webb Space Telescope. Do you think this telescope is a breakthrough in space exploration? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Seema's Top 10 for more videos like this. See you in the next one.